pregnant working at a meat packing facility. The sights, the smells, you can't unsee it. We've all had odd jobs, and we want to know yours. That was an answer we got today for KSN News at 4.
Yeah.
What was your worst job?
Right.
But I think you add in being pregnant, all of that. That's also an odd
That's terrible. So she said she was working in a meat packing plant and pregnant?
And pregnant.
Okay.
And she was very specific to say the sights and the smells. I can only imagine that.
Oh, yeah. We had a good discussion on worst jobs you've ever had. We'd like to know. We're live on Facebook right now. But I don't know if I've ever had... That's, to describe it as the worst job. I've had jobs I didn't like.
You said you've had a ton of jobs.
I have a ton of jobs I didn't. I said that to you. I did.
Yes.
And I feel like I need to back that up a little bit.
Okay.
That might have been just like in the moment.
What would you like to clarify?
I've had several jobs that were probably not for me, and I didn't quite
That's a really
gel.
good way to spin that.
I'm trying to, I think jobs are important. Everybody should have, I believe that people should go to work. And so, but yeah, I've had some jobs that just were not a good fit. That's how I want to put it. It's just not a good fit.
But that's a good spin. That's what I'm going to say next time something works out. It just wasn't for me.
Okay.
I'm going to use that line. What wasn't a good fit for you?
A busboy at Potbelly's restaurant on 47th and 47th the Broadway area. I was a busboy for about 2 days.
I killed it as a busser, so I want to know, why was that not for you?
Well, it sucked.
Why?
It was not, I don't know. A buddy of mine, a friend of mine in high school got me the job, and I thought I was going to go in there and make money, and it was going to be great, and then I realized that it sucks. So that's it. There's no other way around it. It was not. I was not cut out for that, and I feel terrible because, and I hate to admit this on a podcast, I did not quit. I just never came back.
Oh yeah, you quit. Called no show.
I did. I just never came back.
And someone had to cover your shift.
Yeah. That felt. And looking back, it's not a proud moment.
Did you ever go back and eat there? You can't show your face now. It's
no,
too late.
and you know what? Honestly, it wasn't that good. The food was okay. I think it's a bingo parlor now, actually.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I guess.
I killed it as a busser. Probably one of my favorite jobs I've ever had.
Really? Okay.
I made more money as a busser in college than I did as a weekend anchor outside of college.
And
so put that into perspective.
And you can still make more money working in hospitality than you can in local television. That's a fact.
Yeah, it is.
That's a fact.
I loved the job. I started as a host, though, and the bussers made a lot of money. I really wanted to be a server. It was a steakhouse in Phoenix.
Okay.
And it was a really nice steakhouse.
You said you love that job, but we're not talking about jobs you love. We're talking about jobs that you hate.
It was the best job.
Okay.
So the job I hated...
Yeah.
I think like you, maybe I didn't hate any. And comment on Facebook, share with us the job that you hated, or tell me the job you loved. I asked you right before we started. We had the countdown going, and I said, "Oh, I have a story that's perfect. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it." And you said, "I wouldn't say that word." So you can use your imagination. But I worked as an RA in college, and my first year, I had all international students. And so there was a little bit of a language barrier. And so my job as an RA, you live on campus with the freshmen, and my job was to help connect them to the university.
Okay.
And so I was doing like door checks or something, and so I knocked on the door, and the student said, had asked a question, and it had a sexual connotation to it. And there was a language barrier.
Okay.
And so I thought, oh, maybe they don't mean that. And then they doubled down, and it was exactly what they meant. And so I had to go to my then direct advisor, and I'm 20 and in college, and then I have to explain what had happened. And so that student was no longer my student. They said, don't go back to their door. But no language barrier there. They doubled down, and that was probably my least favorite.
Being an RA was your least favorite job, right?
That experience, that taught me, okay, maybe I'm not.
So busboy, and then I worked as one of my first jobs, I was a trap loader.
Okay.
So you load the clay pigeons into a trap machine and then the guys would be like, pull it.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
No, because that happens. That's in the summertime, and those little trap huts. Well, they bake. I mean, they cook.
Yeah.
You're cooking in there.
Yeah, it's hot
So
here.
you could bring a little fan in there and stuff. But that job was rough. That was a rough job.
Did you make good money doing it?
You know, I made
Did you
some
get
money.
tips?
I know.
Oh.
I was young. I mean, it was like I was probably 12.
Okay.
Like, I was young when I did that job.
Child labor, but doing
It
that little
seemed
pot.
like, now
Yeah.
looking back, it seemed like a lot like child labor.
Yeah.
And then I was a park rec leader at Osage Park in South Wichita, which I loved that job. So we shouldn't talk about. We were just
Someone
talking
said,
about
don't
jobs.
talk about the jobs you love.
Yeah. So but I love that job. It was a great job, and I met a lot of great people. I did that for several years through college.
Yeah.
So outside of that, I really haven't had any jobs that oh no, I got one. Oh, goodness gracious. So there was a brief period of time in my journey to After Hours with Jeff and Julia here, where I worked at Cessna.
Oh, and you did not like it.
I worked briefly in technical publications, tech pubs is what they call it, and I would proofread flight manuals to make sure that everything was correct. And you've worked with me now for several years, and you know that I'm a terrible proofreader. I don't do a very good job of that.
I do know you can correct on the fly pretty well, but that's terrible in aviation.
You don't want Jeff Herndon proofreading your flight manuals if it's you don't want that.
You know what? I think full circle, not a job for you.
No, yeah. So I stayed away from. I learned right there that I wasn't gonna be in aviation because, I wasn't very good at it.
Future
And
is bleak.
I actually did not like that job. The people there were super nice. Some of them I still actually talk to. They're good, great people. But it was just not a job for me. It was a desk job, and it was you came in and you clocked in and you sat down and you just started reading stuff and typing. I don't even remember. I wasn't even paying attention at the time probably, so.
Interesting, because I thought you would be alone in loading trap. Bernie said, I loaded trap back in my younger days also.
That's right, Bernie.
Bernie, I want to know how old you were when you did it. And then David said, installed sheetrock at the mall in Manhattan. Hated
Nice.
it. It was more the hours. Money was good.
Okay.
But I had been DJing clubs in Aggieville. That's pretty cool. You were a DJ too.
Yeah, it wasn't clubs in Aggieville. It was a skating rink in South Wichita. So there's a difference. If you guys have ever been to Aggieville and a skating rink in South Wichita, it's a little vibe. It's a little different.
David's probably watching, saying, "Don't put us in the same category."
Oh no! I would never do that, David. That's like you're legit if you're in Aggieville, right?
yeah.
Like you know what you're doing.
I'm sure that was right, David. That was probably your favorite job. I would guess to say that'd be a pretty cool gig.
Come with some good perks, make some good money, and you probably get to see things every night that you can't, that you can't unsee.
My least favorite, I said RA. My pa had a shop. It was out in the back, and he had a lot of horses. So first of all, it smelled like he had a lot of horses.
Okay.
And then he also made saddles, so it was really dusty. I feel like the feed
That sounds exciting if you're on the outside of that.
Well, here's the problem. I cleaned the bathroom.
Okay.
And it was, it's 115 in the summer in Phoenix. So the shop had no AC. You're in the bathroom. All the smells. It was terrible. And then here's the sweet and the sad part. So he passed away in December, and somebody had said that the note that we wrote on the bathroom, in the bathroom whiteboard, that it was still there. Now that's so sweet that was still there.
Yeah.
Now that's a problem because it tells me the bathroom probably hasn't been cleaned in 20 years.
Well, when you stopped working there, nobody was going to clean it.
Oh yeah, we did it one summer, me, my sister, and my cousin. And I remember being in it had a shower in there, and I remember being in the shower scrubbing it. And my sister and my cousin were across the way, and I said, "Okay, we're done. This is the last time we'll do this."
I thought of another job
Yeah.
that I had, and I worked for the family business for a while.
Yeah.
And my family business is machine shops.
Okay.
I obviously did not follow in the footsteps of our family business, but for a while I was given a job that I was probably not qualified for, of sharpening saw blades and chainsaw blades. So I would sharpen the saw blades.
Yeah.
And then pack them up, and then they go out to the customers. I also was terrible at that. I was not good, and I think I ruined a lot of saw blades. I'm sorry, Uncle Stan. So I did that, and that was rough. I was not.
Now, was it rough because of the job, or was it rough working with family?
No, well, the family.
People say don't work with family.
The family just owned it. Like, it wasn't like I didn't have any family members coming down on me.
You?
No, I had another guy.
Maybe they should have, apparently.
No. It just, I wasn't good at it. I didn't, I can't explain it. It just didn't work out.
You were bad. You can say that.
I was bad at it. I remember getting pulled into the office. The manager had said, "Hey, your shop rate's terrible. You're actually costing us a lot of money because you can't get the stuff done in time because you had to work efficiently." And they kept track of your shop rate and all of that and what you were doing. And I was terrible. I sucked.
Bernie said that he was also 10 when he
I was 12.
See, so it's about that same age. So
Bernie,
maybe
was that the KTA, the Kansas Trap Association? Maybe see if you'll answer that. But that's where I was at out there. In the my aunt, on my dad's side, she was the secretary out there. She was the secretary of the KTA, and that's how I got the gig.
Yeah.
My brother worked there too for a little bit.
That's a cool job.
It's
for a
not when you're
12-year-old?
12.
Yeah.
I don't think it's cool.
Well, I don't think it's cooler when you get older. I think that like 12's the limit.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't
Bernie
want to
found that out because he was 10 when he did it.
be 35 and load and trap. I would do that if I needed a job, though.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Karina said a job that wasn't for me was being a waitress. Basic, but it just wasn't for me.
Gotcha.
I'm curious why she says that. I did love the food industry. I loved and you might be able to relate because I liked being busy. I liked being able to hustle.
Okay.
I liked getting to talk to people. I liked getting tipped out. And then it was the people. You get the back of the house, right? So front of the house was when I worked as a host. And then the back of the house, you just get all these different walks of life. And that was really cool. And the line cooks always sent me home with food.
So the weird thing about that is I didn't like the people.
Oh.
And so you would think when I got into the machine shop years later, that would be great for me because you're not dealing with people in the machine shop. You know, it's like you, the gogs, the safety gogs, a tank of solvent, and grinders and saw blades.
Yeah.
And that's it. You don't have to talk to anybody. You can't hear anything anyway. You got the ear protection. And I didn't like that either. So it's almost, you would think that maybe I would gravitate to one, because most people will gravitate to a job or a career if they like, I really like people. I'm going to get into the people business, or I hate people. I'm going to get into the seclusion business, or whatever you do. And for me, none of it worked. But this worked out.
It does work out.
It did.
Maybe it's like the halfway point, right? You get some people, not all the people.
Yeah, I like some people. I like some, not all.
Not
No,
all.
I do. I like all people. The humans.
No.
So the good news for me was that I was dabbling in the medias there early, and then with the Cessna job and the sharpening specialist job and all of that.
Sharpening specialist.
That was the name
Don't
of the.
be giving yourself titles.
That was the name of the company.
Okay.
That I don't think exists anymore. I was certainly not a specialist. But so I had little the journalism before, a dabble, and then I did the sidetrack stuff because
Yeah.
I couldn't get a job in TV, and then when I was able to actually get a job, I stayed with it because I better just stick with this because
It's
I'm
too
not
late
good.
to change
I'm
now.
not good at anything. Kind of good at this, I think.
I think so. I do think
It's
so.
worked out.
I do like that you're giving yourself fictitious titles, but Bernie said, I did it, got the Mount Hope gun at the Mount Hope Gun Club.
Gotcha. Okay.
And Karina said waitress was not her favorite. Way too worried about getting someone's order wrong. I also didn't drink, and people were asking me alcohol questions.
See, that's but the thing about that is I don't like disrespectful people. I feel I have a real soft spot in my heart for individuals in the service industry or in retail that have to deal with just the massive jerks that are floating around out there, and they are out there. We've run into them occasionally. I try to avoid them, but they're out there, and I feel like somebody's out there working really hard, trying to make money, maybe to pay for school or whatever they're doing, and then you have to deal with just a jerk.
Yeah. Here was the interesting thing when I worked as a host. So I worked at that restaurant. I would wear really, really tall shoes. And it was all strategic because I knew if I'm going to be eye level with these people coming in screaming at me, I'm less likely to get yelled at. And that was a pretty good idea. It kept me, I think, from getting screamed at by a lot of people.
You're saying like the height matters.
Oh yeah,
that's really smart.
I'm already pretty tall, but with my shoes on, that was the thing. They were a little bit afraid to yell at me when I was super tall.
You are tall,
I am
and
tall.
then when you take your heels off, you're not. And we've had that.
Tall shoes.
The first time I remember you walked up without your heels on, and I was like, oh. What's going on down there? I was just like, you are. Our chief meteorologist, Lisa Teachman, is also
same thing. We're about the same height.
A lot shorter than you think. Because you guys, man, you wear some
real tall
rocket.
shoes.
Oh yeah, you do. You do.
But
don't.
In this industry, if you're not tall enough, they put you on a box because otherwise it looks jarring. If you're super tall and I'm not, and the shoes, I don't have to stand on a box, so it works.
It does work.
You did get let's see, it was Doug, and he said DJing. Where did that go?
Well, I was a DJ too, but at a skating rink. But then I also worked for radio stations.
Well, he had said it was cool. That was who was the DJ over at
Doug
Aggieville.
at Aggieville.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like, I'm getting
someone said
here.
I should have worn platform sneakers when I worked retail. It really did help.
It's a good idea.
You can still do that now.
It's very smart.
You know what? Actually, I covered a lot of crime when I worked in Washington State, and I was in the courthouse all the time.
Okay.
And that was also something I used then. Some of the attorneys didn't like that I was there, didn't like what I was covering, and I remember there was one attorney one day who came up and tried to tell me that it wasn't a story, and it was the court affidavit was horrendous. And when I stood up, he just kind of
he crouched down
a little bit, and he said okay, and he walked away, and so that was it. Works, Karina. Let's see. I'm trying to find that comment because he was very excited for you.
About me, what
about your DJing?
DJing. I was a DJ
the skating rink.
I used to host a sports talk show. I did that unsuccessfully for years, and then I was a weekend overnight disc jockey unsuccessfully for many years. Called me the Radio Stallion back in the day.
Also a fictitious title you gave yourself.
I gave myself, and then we added a little sound effect in there. Yeah, I was terrible.
How do you pick your radio name?
Well, I don't know. I was like overnight weekends.
It's
you
like the
say,
street you live on, the last thing you ate.
I'll let you in on a little secret. Those program directors for those radio stations, when they're off, they're off. They're not listening to you on Saturday night at 11 p.m. Yeah. So you can say what you want until they check your air check and then let you go. But I was terrible at that. I was a terrible DJ. Huh. Yeah, it was awful.
How long did you last?
For a long time, because nobody wants to work overnights on the weekend. I got all the, the fact the first time I was solo on KXLK Mix 105 for those of you that have no idea what I'm talking about. The program director at the time, who I still communicate with sometimes on Facebook, he said, "Hey Jeff, I got a deal for you, brother." And I said, "What's that, Greg?" His name was Greg Gand. He said, "How would you like to do a shift? Your own shift. Your own shift." Because at the time, I was coming in early in the morning on Saturday and Sunday, and I was running the church programming. So I wasn't actually talking. You'd load up the reels that these programs were pre-recorded, and then the radio station had to, you had to meet a certain, you had to play programming that met a certain standard back then, FCC rules. And so I would play these things. And then he said, "Hey, man, you've been working hard, Herndon. I'm going to give you a shot. You want to go on the air? You want to get your air checked? Whatever." He didn't talk like that. But I said, "Yes, Greg. I mean, I'm young. I'm in my teens. I'm going to have a radio shift."
Yeah.
Mix 105 FM. I think it was top 40. Don't remember. He's like, "Great. Okay." He's like, Sunday afternoon drive. In fact, how'd you like to do 2 shifts, afternoon drive and then Sunday evening?" And I was like, "Are you kidding me? Oh, we're doing that. That is awesome. Greg Gand, thank you so much. I mean, you just made my day. I'm going to be a pro." It was Super Bowl Sunday.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. And I didn't know.
But would you have still taken it? I would have still taken it.
And here's the great thing about it is they knew that I would take it.
Yeah.
And they knew that if I was terrible, nobody
would have heard it.
Be listening.
Yeah.
So I did the shift.
Wow.
Super Bowl Sunday. I don't know who. I got to be honest with you guys. I don't know what year that was. I was young. I was in my I was probably I might have been 18, 19
But
maybe.
also such a reminder because I'm sure a lot of kids are watching.
Yeah.
A reminder of take whatever opportunity when it presents itself.
Right.
Because you would not have gotten another chance had you not taken that.
No, I didn't.
Somebody said, I like that first of all, people have adopted wasn't for me, which I like that we're all politely saying, the job that wasn't for me.
Yeah, because there's probably people you worked with or managers out there that you still communicate with, and
That's
you don't want to come out and
way
say,
of saying I was
that job
trash
sucked.
or saying they were trash.
I think it's a combination of just like both trash mixing in a dumpster and then catching fire, and then so nobody's culpable. It's fine.
We've all worked somewhere like that. Marissa said a job that wasn't for me was working at a call center where I called people and conducted surveys for the 2016 presidential election.
Ooh.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Ooh, that's a rough one.
Yeah.
I will say this. If you're watching us on Facebook, be sure to get us on the KSN Plus app, which we're not really talking about much because it's launched. We're doing it. Mm-hmm. We're stacking it with unique programming, but you can get it right now on your Roku, Apple TV, and Fire TV. And it's pretty simple to download. And then you can watch all of the Jeff and Julia After Hours podcast. You can watch some material some shows that Lisa Teachman is working on, and there's some Positive Connection stuff on there too, I think.
There is Here For You Spotlight, Alexis Padilla,
Gotcha.
our morning anchor, who's putting those together.
Okay. So, KSN Plus on your Roku, Apple, and Fire TV.
Yeah, and you can find information to download that at ksn.com. Just search KSN Plus. We're streaming, and it should pop up.
And we're building it. It's a slow process.
We're not building it.
We're contributing to the creation, the foundation of KSN Plus.
Somebody also is jumping on the train of DJ. My dad was a wedding party karaoke DJ known as DJ Diamond Dave. I like the alliteration on that.
I was also a wedding DJ. I forgot. You guys are bringing back all the memories. And I just quit getting booked. I worked for a guy named Dave, and gosh, what was his name? They owned a franchise. What was it called? It was called Complete DJ, or I don't remember. But they were also family friends, and so I got that job. And I did I think I did Rose Hill Prom.
Oh, that's cool.
No, I was terrible. I feel bad for those people that had to. I was awful. Complete Music. That was the name of the company.
What a blessing you found what you're good at. You tried a lot of them, though.
Dude,
I'll give that to you.
I forgot I did all this stuff because I have those old, squishy, old person bones.
No.
I do at my age. And so, but I forgot I was a wedding DJ. But I did a prom.
And a prom DJ.
Well, I just did I don't think I did a wedding.
No.
I didn't get rebooked. And anyway, I did that for a week or something.
I mean, to do prom is pretty cool.
Yeah, it was Rose Hill's prom, and it would have been, this had to be, I was in high school. I mean, this would have been 1993 or maybe 1995. Maybe I just graduated. I don't remember.
I did odd ones where I contracted. I either worked at the college or you did, I guess, different camps. There was odd ones, and I feel like you did really fun ones. You got to be a DJ.
It sounds fun, but looking back, I wasn't very good at it. And that's the problem. I just wasn't good at it.
I babysat a few of the neighborhood kids. My older sister got a lot of those jobs, but there was somebody I babysat for, and I fell asleep.
Babysitting?
Babysitting. The kids were already asleep. I was downstairs, but they got home so late. And I think I was I probably wasn't in high school yet. I was probably in junior high, and I fell asleep. And I know I babysat after that, but I wasn't invited back a lot.
Probably smart.
You don't want a babysitter who falls asleep.
Sorry to check. I got a text from a family member, and I thought it was a text about, working in the family biz, and it was not.
Just personal?
Clearly, this family member is not watching.
Well,
I don't even know if it was personal. It was just, hey, what's up?
Share it on the streaming.
Just asking what I was doing on a certain day.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, and I know we're running out of time.
We are.
A lot of people have asked when the Lobster Fest was. If you missed one of our previous Jeff and Julia's after hours, Jeff does a lobster boil every year, and now so many people are asking, when is it, and can we come?
I can't. Yeah, no.
Yeah, we all want to go, and a lot of people from work too.
It's hard to do when there's a lot of people involved.
Oh, I'm sure. That's why we want to go to yours. We don't want to have our own.
I know.
We're smart.
It's in July, and it's in another county. That's all I can say. It's not in Sedgwick County.
But we're not invited. You can say, I mean,
no,
be blunt.
I can't. I mean, everyone's invited, kind of.
Except not for all these people without the invite.
Well, you would be disappointed, I think.
Let us decide.
That's a good point.
Yeah, who are you to say?
Well, my
you
concern
just told
now,
me 12 jobs that you were terrible at. I think you were terrible at deciding a guest list too.
Here's the thing about the lobster boil, Lobster Fest as we call it, is I'm mildly concerned about the heat because this is like we talked about this.
Yeah.
It's in July. We normally don't do it in July, and it's outside. It's an outdoor thing.
Oh, yes. Your wife just messaged and said, it's not that hard.
Oh, here we go.
Jeff is scared of a good time. This is why I love your wife.
We're out of time. And
No,
I want you to
we're not.
remind you guys to check out Jeff and Julia After Hours. We're going to do it again tomorrow. So anything last thoughts here?
Yeah, my last thought is, Stephanie, you're absolutely right.
That is true. She's got me on that before because I've had this discussion where I'm like, I don't know.
Excuses.
And she's like, you really need to have a lobster and sit down and
Rein in the excuses.
chill out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. She makes a lot of it go though. So I would say that if my complaining about it, I don't do much. Like I drop a lobby in, I drop a little lob in the boiler, and then that's it. Like that's all I do. It's like I'm doing a lot of stuff. I just worry when everybody's there.
And when everyone keeps asking you, hey, can we get the invite? See,
Yeah.
That's why I know if I want the invite or I want something, I go to his wife, not to him.
That's probably smart.
Oh,
All right,
yeah.
we are out of time. So we're gonna get out of here. But we're gonna be back tomorrow
Yes.
with another really cool topic. I want to thank everybody for watching and have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.